Honourable Member for St. James North, I wish to welcome you to this honourable chamber and trust that you will maintain the rich traditions and high standards of this honourable chamber, and that you will also contribute meaningfully to debates. I wish you all the best as you stay in this honourable chamber. Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, it gives me immense joy, pleasure to be able let us go again. It gives me immense joy and pleasure, Mr. Speaker, to be able to welcome the Honourable Member for St. James North, whose name I shall not call in breach of the rules, but whose name is written now before where he sits, and whose name is imprinted upon the people of St. James North in a by-election that will be historic, if only because, as was stated, the confidence expressed in the Honourable Member really outstrips the performance and the confidence normally given in by-elections. The Honourable Member secured 84% of the vote. And even though there are concerns about the extent of the turnout, we have shown clearly that of the 8,534 members, roughly 2,068 persons were either overseas, deceased, or had moved. And to that extent, reflects admirably. When we have looked at the performance across the board in that constituency and others, the votes garnered, even with a lesser turnout, approximate to that which is garnered with a normal turnout. And that is perhaps the point that I want to make, reflecting the fact that he stands in here today comfortable with the knowledge that the people of St. James North have spoken decisively. I want to say to the youngest member of this chamber that of course we expect that he will adhere to the best precepts and principles of this chamber, but that he comes here with something that I hope he never loses, and that is humility. A humility that is grounded in seeing people, hearing people, and feeling people. And a humility that reflects a level of empathy that is utterly and absolutely critical in this world in which we live. On Thursday last, I had to give a eulogy to the Honourable Chester Rock. And I say honourable because that is how all of us felt about her. She didn't have letters behind her name, but in her period of time on this earth, 90 years, she left a mark on everyone with whom she interacted. It is my judgment that that is more important than any doctorate or any master's or any letters behind anyone's name. And it is actually against that backdrop that I would wish that the Honourable Member will continue the effort of educational transformation, understanding and appreciating. And only this morning I listened to Prime Minister Skerritt address the same issue in Dominica, that with the technology available, with the AI at our fingertips, we can have access to any information. And therefore what is important is how schools will build people, youngsters, to become discerning, to be wise, to know how to think for themselves, to ensure that they learn how to work with each other, collaboration, team sports in the schools, a sense of empathy. These are the things that will mark our ability to work and to move forward in this world that is rapidly, rapidly changing. And in this world that regrettably is prone more to conflict, more so than at any other time since World War II. It is against that backdrop, Mr. Speaker, sir, that I look forward to the contributions in terms of his participation in debates and the moving of resolutions, but equally to the overall contribution that the honourable member will make to the children of this country, to the future of education, and by extension, knowing how much education means to us as a nation. Because without that, our people will not be able to achieve the most that they can achieve. That we look forward to his leading the most comprehensive educational transformation that this country will see. And I say so as a former Minister of Education, hoping that he will be able to eclipse the efforts of all of us who have served in the post-independence era. Because if ever this country needed it, it is now. If ever our children needed to be rooted and to be ready to be global citizens with Bajan roots, never forgetting who they are, but capable of going anywhere on planet Earth and representing themselves and their nation, it is now. So, Mr. Speaker, with those few words, I say simply to a big man from a big woman that I trust and pray that he will add to the social, economic, and national progress of this nation, but more so to the quality of lives of individual Bajans, one by one, by one, by one, from St. James North to the entire country of Barbados through our young people. God bless you, and may you have a long career in this honorable chamber. Thank you.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. I'm obliged to you. Guided as I am by the finest traditions of this Parliament, and of course by my own good sense of grace and humility, I do join with the Honourable Prime Minister in welcoming the newest representative for the constituency of St. James North. I would say to him that, and I think he knows this, that for the past few hours, and many hours, I would have spent much time expressing the hope that the new representative for St. James North would have been seated to my left. And of course, he is aware that I meant more immediately to my left. And there has been some conspiracy, in a kind way, in a good way, to put the new representative to my left. And he smiles, and so do I. But it is my duty to welcome the new representative and to remind him that while many voted for him and not as many voted against him, and as the Honourable Prime Minister may have suggested, some who did not vote at all. And so if there are three categories within that list, I'm absolutely certain that the new representative knows that his is the voice for all of those persons. That there is no greater honor than to be called upon to represent other persons and to be their voice. That is what you are. And it is said elsewhere, somewhere I read, that unless the voice of suffering is heard, the truth is never entirely told. And I want to feel that the new representative will abide by that principle, that not only will his voice be that in representation of those who have adequate voice, but it will be for those persons who suffer, who have that inadequate voice, and that he will speak for them as well. And that I say this to him, to the honorable member, that if on occasion he lapses and should forget to speak for them, I will assist him in being that voice for those persons in that good and noble constituency of St. James North who lack that voice, who lack that adequate voice. And so I repeat, a condition of truth is that the voice of suffering will be allowed to speak. And since they don't have speech in this noble assembly, this honorable member today becomes that voice. And I therefore want to welcome him again and to wish him well. And in wishing him well, I'm obviously wishing well for the people of St. James North who have sent this honorable member. And I want to feel confident that he will meet his duty and meet his duty honorably and nobly. So welcome, honorable member, and Your Honor, Mr. Speaker, I'm obliged for this opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Honorable St. James North.
Mr. Speaker, I rise humbly for what, of course, is my maiden contribution in this august chamber. And first, allow and permit me to thank God for allowing me to be here. And second, and of course, importantly, the good people of St. James North, who elected me just under a week ago to represent their affairs in this august chamber, the Parliament of Barbados. But of course, the occasion also behoves me to recognize and be mindful that I'm also joined by my parents, my family, my friends, members of my branch, constituency, and of course also the young people, many of whom will someday, I'm sure, take up elective politics and governance in this country, and in particular, those from the Gordon Greenwich Primary School, the St. Albans Primary School, my alma mater, the Shirley Chisholm Primary School, and my secondary alma mater, the Christ Church Foundation School. Let me also place on record the thanks that I have to our leader and Prime Minister, the Honourable Mia Amor Motley, for having the confidence in me, not just now in the context of the by-election and today, but a person and a woman who has nurtured me over the last 20 years and led me to know that public life is really about service. And to my political colleagues in the Barbados Labour Party, Deputy Prime Minister, all of you, I want to place on record my sincere gratitude for working with me, not just now, as I said, but throughout the years, helping me to understand the importance of public life. But I rise not just to thank, but to also share that this is certainly the finest and proudest moment in my life, particularly in the context of public service. I've done a lot of things at the local level, regional levels, international levels, which I've done pretty well. But this, to my mind, to be able to represent my fellow man in my nation, and they repose such a significant level of confidence in me, I'm humbled. Why? Because I don't take lightly the fact that they voted in overwhelming numbers last week, 84% of the vote. And as you've heard throughout the now settled and now concluded campaign, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I want to say to the residents and constituents of St. James North and to the people of Barbados that as long as God gives me breath and I'm in this chamber, I will give of human unwavering, relentless service on your behalf. We live in a world which requires us to ensure that as we move forward in representation, that our parliament, the third oldest parliament in the world, we have a duty to ensure that representation meets the changing global realities. And I see myself as a young man, yes, 42, being up to the task, bringing to bear the experiences that I would have gained throughout the world to help not just the residents and young people and the elders in St. James North, but to help to chart a path forward for those constituents and their lives to be able to ensure that they can maximize their potential. And this chamber allows for me to do so. Equally, from the ministerial point of view, yes, I'm the minister responsible for education in our country. And as you heard our Prime Minister just say to our chamber, our generation requires for us to look ahead and forge ahead and to have a society that is underscored by a robust education system that is anchored by transformation. And I want to commit to everybody in this country for the benefit of generations today, tomorrow, and those unborn, long after we may never even be here, to commit to ensuring that they have, through my skills and working with everyone, both government and opposition, in the interest of the collective, to ensure that we can place Barbados as a nation not just of prosperity, but a country that is anchored by Barbadian values and humility, and living and bringing to life our motto of pride and industry. So I simply just want to say thank you, but of course, now the work begins. And I commit to ensuring that I use, as I said, all of my intellect, my capacity, for the benefit and people of St. James North, and ultimately for fellow citizens of this great nation, Barbados. Mr. Speaker, I'm obliged to you.
Minutes of the meeting held on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 to be deferred. Honourable Leader, Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that the aforesaid minutes be deferred.
Questions that the aforementioned minutes be deferred. All those honourable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Me think the ayes have it. The aforementioned minutes are hereby deferred. At this time, I want to acknowledge the presence of the students of the Gordon Greenwich Primary School, St. Albans Primary School, Shirley Chisholm Primary School, and the Christchurch Foundation Secondary School. I also want to acknowledge the presence of the parents of the Honourable Member for St. James North and his family and his entire entourage.
Petitions, messages from Her Excellency the President, papers.
Honourable Leader, Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I'm commanded to lay the Public Officers Loan and Travelling Allowances Amendment Regulations 2025, as well as the report of the Parliamentary Reform Commission 2024. I'm also commanded to lay the Barbados Economic and Social Report 2024, as well as the 2024 Annual Report and Audited Financial Statements of the Central Bank of Barbados.
Government notices, private members' notices, notices of questions, reports from select committees, first readings of bills.
Honourable Leader, Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the first reading of the Insurance Amendment Bill 2025.
Questions that the aforementioned bill be read the first time. All those honourable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it.
Statements by ministers, congratulatory and/or obituary speeches, personal explanations, motions for leave of absence, oral replies to questions, notices of motion for the adjournment of the House on matters of urgent public importance, orders of the day.
Honourable Leader, Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the suspension of standing orders 6, 16, 18, 20, 42 subsection 5, 43, and 44 for the remainder of the day's sitting.
The question is that the aforementioned standing orders be suspended for the remainder of the day's sitting. All those honourable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it. The aforementioned standing orders are hereby suspended for the remainder of the day's sitting.
Government business, sir.
Government business is the order of the day.
Order number 14, in the name of the Honourable Minister in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, to move the second reading of the Insurance Amendment Bill 2025.
Honourable Member for Christchurch, Central.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I too want to join in congratulating the Honourable Member for St. James North on his election to this Parliament. And I know, like all of us, committed 7 years ago when I too was 42, to work hard on behalf of the people of Barbados, and long may that remain so, sir. Mr. Speaker, the matter before us today of insurance is a serious matter, given all that we have gone through, not just in the last 7 years, but given where the economic trajectory of Barbados has been, sir. Insurance is a matter that ought to be taken seriously. Whether that is home insurance, sir, whether that is motor insurance, sir, whether that is life insurance, sir, medical insurance, sir. These are matters that individually, sir, and collectively as a society, we have to come to grips with, because one never knows, sir, what will happen to any of us at any point in time, to our businesses, and therefore we must plan and provision, I should say, for those unforeseen events that may arise that could impact all of us. The amendments that are before us today, sir, reflect, in a sense, a changing of how regulators globally have been focusing on how insurance companies make those said provisions. And whereas in the past, the provisions in relation to the statutory fund, which is being referred to for the most part in the main act, were back in the day, sir, very prescriptive. And therefore, it did not afford for the fact that through time, sir, as financial instruments became a little more flexible and technology changed access to information, also business operations changed as well, sir, over time, becoming more complex. Individuals, sir, and their appetite for risk. And I want to say to Barbadians, sir, that risk-taking is what we do every day. And therefore, the extent to which one can mitigate against risk, sir, is important to understand and appreciate that as much mitigation as one can put in place, sir, you cannot totally eliminate risk. And therefore, insurance as an industry, insurance as a profession, insurance as a backstop for when things go wrong, sir, I want to wholeheartedly endorse that Barbadians must look at their own risk appetite. And in order for us to be able to move forward and get a more robust economy, that we must not view insurance and insurers as the enemy. Within the context of what's happening globally, sir, climate change, we have seen over the course of the last 15 to 20 years, sir, hurricanes intensifying throughout the Caribbean region as our waters and our seas, our oceans have gotten warmer. And as a result, sir, if you have home insurance, your insurer will write you every year and say to you, the insurance premiums have to go up, simply because insurance, as you are well aware, sir, is a shared risk. It means people coming together, companies coming together to share the risk that if something happens to you individually, that the pool can come to your rescue. And whilst we were spared for some time, sir, significant impacts of physical damage by hurricanes, the reinsurance costs around the region, and it includes, sir, Miami, Florida, in particular, Louisiana, sir, around the the Gulf of Mexico, I should say, sir, is part of the insurance pool for the Caribbean. And therefore, as we saw more and more intense hurricanes hitting landfall, it meant that insurance costs in Barbados increased simply because of the impact elsewhere, the damage elsewhere. And therefore, we must come to grips with the fact, sir, that the choice of insurance matters. Now, sir, as you and I both know, if you want to drive boat in Barbados, sir, you're required by law, sir, to have motor insurance. Some of us may have comprehensive insurance. Some of us may have third-party insurance. And the rationale for that, sir, is clear. When accidents happen, sir, someone may be maimed, injured, property may be damaged, and either the cost of providing medical care, sir, the cost of repair must be borne by somebody. And therefore, the mechanism through which, by law, we say motor insurance is mandatory means that as responsible citizens, sir, if we are going to drive, we should have motor insurance. What type of insurance is entirely up to you, but it is available, sir, by any of the general insurance companies in Barbados who can provide that insurance. Now, sir, if you are a safe driver, and safe meaning, sir, you stop at all the stop signs, sir, you stop at the traffic light, sir, and I am one of those people, sir, that when you see when the day comes, that when your light is green, sir, and I fly in coming through my red light, sir, then I am posing a risk, an undue risk, sir, as we see every day, for accidents. And therefore, your driving practices influences, sir, how your insurers will rate you. So they will look at you, sir, and say, well, the speaker he's follow all the rules. They look at me, sir, and see that all my traffic tickets and everything is in the red. And therefore, they will price my insurance accordingly because I'm driving, sir, like I met myself. And therefore, the risk and cost, sir, associated with that is purely based on my own behavior and not necessarily of any other person in the community. And therefore, our behaviors, sir, equally determine how much you will pay. And therefore, it is important to understand that the insurance company, sir, when they write me and tell me, well, honorable member, your no claims bonus is no longer relevant because every few weeks you get in an accident, you're running through red lights, you're doing these types of things, sir, then I can't call and curse and complain, sir, when my premium goes up because that is my behavior that has driven the cost. And therefore, it is important to understand that each of us, whether by way of any type of insurance that we may purchase, there is some responsibility that we bear, sir, with respect to the price that we pay. And therefore, your behavior drives that a significant part of the time. There are other times where there are external factors, sir, that can drive the cost. Thank you. And therefore, understanding that, understanding the risk that you're posing to those around you in that context, sir, is critical so that you understand
that if I get into 5 and 6 accidents when the year comes, sir, causing me to have to make a claim to the insurance company, it means that the insurance company, sir, has to, in the context of the industry, sir, release reserves to cover the damage, sir, against your car, the damage, sir, against your house, the damage, sir, against the light pole that is providing lighting for people in the country, sir, damage to any property or person, sir, that I may cause. And therefore, when it comes time for me to renew my insurance, sir, then naturally, sir, the insurance company is going to say, well, I can't cover you anymore at the same price simply because, sir, your driving behavior is too risky to price the same value as you. And therefore, sir, the statutory fund and everything that is associated with what insurers must hold in reserve to cover any associated claims and costs that may arise, obviously is drawn upon. And therefore, it is something that we must understand and appreciate, that the insurance company, sir, in the main, sir, is not some boogeyman out there that is looking to take money from people and don't honor the claim, sir. The reality is that there is a pool of resources that we all contribute to, sir, that are intended to be able to bring relief when you need it most. And I believe, sir, that as we go through not just these specific amendments today, but I think as Barbadians think about how do you offer more protection for your family, whether that is life insurance, whether that is an annuity, whether that is you being able to purchase a registered retirement saving plan, or any of those facilities that are available for persons to access. Medical insurance. What type of medical insurance do you want to be able to purchase for you and your family, sir? And therefore, if you know, sir, that you are going to make a claim every time you go to the doctor, sir, for routine things, that too influences the claims record. And then when it's time then to get something major done, sir, you've already made such frequent claims to the insurance company that the coverage that you purchase, sir, the coverage that you purchase is no longer, don't let me say relevant, but the amount that you purchase, because you've made so many claims with respect to that, it doesn't give you the coverage that you thought you would have had initially. And that is something that we must understand, sir, that the purpose of insurance is really when you genuinely need it. So you have a choice, sir. If you use your insurance for routine matters, you have to appreciate that those routine matters will reduce the amount of coverage that you have. If you do not use your medical insurance for routine matters and you leave it for major things like scans and major operations and that type of thing, sir, it means the coverage goes much further. And therefore, whilst I know that there's a propensity to think, well, I pay the insurance company this money every month, and I gotta feel like I gotta get back something. That is not really how insurance genuinely is supposed to work, sir. If that is your attitude, then you will always find yourself, sir, potentially disadvantaged, genuinely so, when you need it most. And therefore, I know that it is something that is tough for people to fully understand and appreciate. But by the same token, sir, I've never gotten in an accident. I pay my car insurance every year, but I can't think, well, should I go and get in an accident so that I can get my car repaired by the insurance company, sir? But that doesn't really make much good sense. But the coverage, I know that the coverage is there in the event that somebody ran through the light and hit me. I at least know that I have coverage, provided that I am alive. And even if I'm not alive, sir, I know that my family will be the beneficiary with respect to insurance. And I'm being very deliberate this morning, sir, before I get into the amendments, because I think we need to also appreciate and understand. When you, sir, purchase life insurance, the life insurance is not for you, sir. You're actually doing it for the beneficiaries that you identify. So insurance is not something that should be taken as something that is for necessarily you, the individual. You're really trying to protect your loved ones, sir. And if you make provisions appropriately for that, with that in mind, sir, then the purpose of insurance then is better understood. So when you take out a life policy and you say that, sir, that your wife and your children are the beneficiaries, you pay that premium every year, hoping, sir, I know we want to live forever. But at some point, sir, anything can happen to any of us. And therefore, our families should not be overly exposed, sir, because obviously we've made commitments financially, sir. You have a business, you have a mortgage, your children in school, all these types of things, sir. And therefore, you purchase the insurance that is appropriate for you to be able to cover those things. But those premiums that you're paying every month, sir, those are not premiums for you. Those are premiums for your family or whoever you may wish to be the beneficiary of that insurance policy. And therefore, we must be a little more discerning in terms of what is the purposes of these different insurance products, in order to ensure then that we can build some more financial resilience within the context of Barbados, and to be able to get the economy moving. Now, I say that, sir, given that we've seen in Florida, sir, we've seen in Florida, because of the intensity of the hurricanes, as you know, sir, insurance is now being withdrawn from certain parts of Florida. In California, sir, and this is related to property insurance, that is. In California, with all the wildfires and all of the things that are going on, sir, you're seeing insurance being withdrawn from that part of the world. So here it is, little Barbados, we're trying to make provisions for ourselves to be able to insure our assets. And as you are well aware, sir, if you can't, in a commercial space, sir, if you really can't have some level of insurance, it makes the business proposition particularly challenging. But the reality of it is, sir, that the withdrawal of insurance in certain parts of Florida and California, sir, impacts little Barbados. Because it means then, sir, that the pool has gotten smaller. And those persons who are reinsuring now have to reprice the Caribbean against the backdrop that Florida, a significant part of the landscape, sir, is no longer in the risk pool. And therefore, it isn't that the insurance companies in Barbados here wants to increase anybody's premium. It is just the fact that there are no longer enough properties within the risk pool to be able to absorb, or contributors, let me put it that way, sir, in the risk pool to be able to absorb that. And just bear in mind, sir, that Barbados is only 166 square miles, sir. Could probably fit in Florida a gazillion times, sir. And therefore, we talk about the number of property, millions of properties, sir. Millions of properties being withdrawn from the risk pool has a significant impact on reinsurance rates in Barbados and the Caribbean. And therefore, we cannot see this as something that's isolated, where you go to your insurer and because of what's happening outside, rates are going up, you're displeased with respect to what is being asked of you. And I think, sir, whilst I know that people make decisions from a budgetary perspective and take risk, sir. We have been working with the General Insurance Association, and as we've also been working with CRIF to be able to provide some mechanism where we have coverage in place, because as you know, sir, whenever there's a house fire in Barbados, more often than not, sir, there's no home insurance. And that causes a significant amount of displacement with respect to those persons. And it's something that we want to avoid. And that's why we have made provision within the context of the revised catastrophe fund to the Resilience and Regeneration Fund to be able to be more proactive, sir, with respect to where we can build resilience in that space in order, sir, to reduce the dislocation that would ordinarily occur, sir, when there's a house fire. And therefore, purchasing insurance, whilst in of itself, sir, is a safeguard, the insurance in of itself, sir, does not and cannot necessarily prevent the catastrophe. But at least it can help with the recovery after the catastrophe, sir. And that is why it's important, sir, to appreciate that what we do, sir, how we live, influences the risk profile that the insurer or the underwriter, in the case, sir, of the entity that is going to provide the insurance, will rate and determine what price or premium you will pay for said insurance. Now, as I started, sir, we have seen a significant evolution of work being done in the insurance industry in the last 10 to 15 years. I'll speak very quickly, sir, of the fact that IFRS 17, the International Financial Reporting Standard, sir, 17 has been brought in. Solvency II in the UK and Europe, sir, have been in place now for about 10 to 15 years. Forcing a change in behavior of insurance companies, particularly life insurance companies. Because a life contract, sir, is intended, obviously, to give you a payout, sir, assuming that all of us live a reasonably long life, sir. The idea of life insurance is that you're paying your premium, sir. If life expectancy, sir, is 70, 70, as they say in the Bible, 70, sir, and you start working at 25 and you purchase a life insurance policy, then if you live to 70, it means that the insurance company can get a fair amount of premiums out here. And when you reach 70, sir, or 71 or 72 or whatever, that they will pay out to your family having received a significant amount of premiums from you. I mean, it's insurance. Now, of course, at any point between 25 and 70, sir, we might very well expire at any point in time. And the insurance is there to pay your family to help ease the pain, sir, of your absence from their lives. Because outside of grief, genuine grief, sir, typically when people pass away, there are a lot of bills.
I would wish that honorary members in this chamber make very limited use of their cell phones. It is becoming a norm in this chamber over which I preside for persons not only to use their cell phones, but make it apparent that they're using their cell phones, such that they have all kinds of devices in their ears, etc. I really believe that it ought to be a matter of courtesy in this chamber to adhere to the principles, civil, and be civil. Your word to the wise is enough. Continue, honorable member.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Speaker. At school, they used to say a breach of common sense is a breach of the school rules, sir, so your advice is well heeded. So as I was saying, sir, life insurance is a product, or a suite of products, I should say, to give some level of financial protection, sir, when someone passes away to the family. And the type of life insurance that you purchase, sir, again, depends on what your circumstances are. But there are generally two types of life insurance, and I will be very quick on this, sir. You have whole of life, sir, or you have term insurance. Whole of life means, sir, that when I purchase the product, whenever I die, sir, the claim will be honored by the insurance company. Term, sir, says I want to purchase something to a specific age. And if you die between when you purchase that product and that particular age, sir, the claim will be honored by the life insurance company. The difference in pricing should be obvious. If you want a whole of life product, sir, irrespective of whenever you die, the whole of life product is more expensive than the term product. It's a matter of probability and maths and statistics and all that, sir, but suffice it to say, what you purchase it for and the purpose matters. And therefore, persons should seek advice as to what is the most appropriate life policy that they may wish to have, with the clear understanding, sir, that if I purchase a term policy to 70, sir, and I live to 75, and I die, there's no claim coming to my family. It must be known and understood up front. So that nobody can walk out and say the insurance company tricked me because I did not, or I misunderstood what the terms or conditions were. And I know, sir, that as you know, sir, as a lawyer, people don't really like to read contracts and these types of things. But these are very basic things that I believe, sir, the public must pay attention to and make the right decision with respect to these matters. Typically, sir, when you want to get a mortgage, the bank, as part of the process, you have to get some type of insurance policy. And I can't give anybody specific advice from this place, sir, but you have to determine whether you want a whole of life policy or a term policy specifically for that purpose, and understand it is for that purpose. Because the financial institution wants to know, sir, that if I die halfway through the mortgage, the money that they lent you to build the house and buy the land, sir, the financial institution wants to know how they can get the money for the remainder of the contract. And that is the purpose of the insurance in that particular instance. Because, sir, if all of us in this chamber today, we are all depositors in the financial institution, sir, and all of you decided to lend me some money to buy a house, at the end of the day, sir, it's your deposits and all ours in here that I have to pay back over time to make sure that everybody in here, sir, everybody's whole. And therefore, if something happens to me in that contract, the insurance is there to ensure that the monies that were lent by the institution to each of us as individuals, there is some coverage in relation to that. And therefore, these are some basic, very basic principles, sir, that allows all of us to be able to improve our lives, sir, improve our lives in a very credible way, because the financial system, sir, is geared to be able to give some measure of relative certainty to the fact that, one, we might want to start a business, and if you start a business, sir, that is dealing with a lot of chemicals and that type of thing, sir, then you would expect you need a different level of insurance, sir, than if you're doing the business that cut in here. It's a different risk profile completely. And therefore, risk, whilst not bad, it has to be managed. You have to put mitigating measures in place. So if I build my house, sir, and don't put on hurricane straps, and you build your house, sir, and you put on hurricane straps, when the underwriter comes and look at my house versus yours, sir, they're going to say, well, I have to offer the speaker a cheaper insurance premium because the speaker has made an additional effort to try to make sure the roof don't blow off. But I can't quarrel, sir, with the insurance company because I refuse to put a few hurricane straps on my house and say that they're favoring you, sir, and leaving me out. So when we do things, sir, to mitigate risk, notwithstanding the fact that the insurance in Florida is being withdrawn, the insurance in California is being withdrawn, you are doing what you can, sir, to help mitigate the increasing costs, whereas me personally, I just out there hoping for the best, sir, hoping that the wind don't blow off the roof. And therefore, there are things that each of us can do individually to mitigate risk. And I just use that as an example of risk mitigation. As you know, sir, there's always been a long debate in medical insurance about pre-existing conditions and these types of things and how that will play out in relation to accessing medical insurance. But here's the thing, sir. When you go through the underwriting process, so you want to go and get some medical insurance, they can send you to the doctor. The doctor can do some scans, take some blood tests, and that kind of thing. If your blood sugar too high or yes, it's too high, with the HbA1c, I think, test it is, then you become rated for diabetes. Now, sir, as you know, if you're drinking sweet drinks when the day come, eating, and a whole set of things, sir, that contributes, sir, to your risk of developing the complications associated with diabetes and the like. Whereas somebody else now going through the process of underwriting, they're exercising, sir, they're doing what is prescribed, then it means that you can reverse, if you like, those numbers. And by reversing those numbers then, it means that your premium that you ordinarily would pay because of the underwriting process could actually be reduced because there's data to support the risk mitigating effort that you've undertaken with respect to health insurance. And therefore, there are things that people can do individually that helps them to be able to address matters in relation to insurance. But then there are other things, sir, that simply, as they will say in the business, sir, is an act of God. Category 5 hurricane comes, sir, rip up the whole place. Whole place rip up. So it don't matter whether you got insurance, sir, or they ain't got. The whole place rip up. Whole place rip up. The insurance company then has to call in its reserves to try to recover. Government now has to step up, sir, to be able to recover. And therefore, there are some things that even an insurance company cannot cover. Even though you have the policy, because remember, risk is always intended to be shared. So it is okay if one or two properties got damaged significantly. The insurance company will have resources to deal with that. But if 1 million properties, sir, damage all at the same time, then it makes it almost impossible for the insurance company to decide who gets what in relation to that. And therefore, risk mitigation is absolutely important for us to understand as consumers, and that is why, with respect to the amendments here, that the movement to a risk-based approach for regulation, sir, is where the Financial Services Commission, we are undertaking to go, as opposed to being very prescriptive in relation to these matters. And therefore, as consumers of insurance services, it is going to be important for us to understand how that impacts us. So if you're going to build a house today, sir, if you're going to build a house today, in the mortgage, sir, which you are going to pay over 25 or 30 years, you put in the hurricane straps and all the necessary risk mitigation that you can do up front, because then that gives you more certainty that your house will stand the test of time. Of course, you got to maintain it. You got to do those things along the way to make sure that they keep in place. But the reality is, the risk-based approach now, sir, has to be clearly understood by consumers of insurance to better understand and appreciate, sir, that if I drive about the road wild, sir, causing harm and concerned for everybody around me, so let that fella pass, because I ain't know what he can do. That risky behavior, sir, has to be penalized through the process in the context that if you're causing accidents, creating mayhem on the streets, sir, as it relates to motor vehicles, then the pricing, my premium, sir, cannot be the same as your premium. And therefore, that is something that we have to understand and appreciate. And at some point, sir, it could get to the point where insurers say, well, I ain't insuring that fella because he's getting too much accidents. And one insurance company said, well, I'm not going to take the risk with him because he's getting 5 accidents every year. So within the context of reassuring, then you will find that your behavior can influence the access to these services. And it is not something that you want, but it could be one of the inevitable consequences in relation to matters of insurance. And therefore, it is important that we understand, generally speaking, that we're talking about how we share risks, how we manage risks, how the insurance companies invest the premiums that you pay responsibly, such that whether it's a short term, meaning motor vehicle, or home insurance of those matters, short-term insurance, vis-a-vis long-term insurance like life insurance and annuities and those types of things where you're looking for a long-term matching of liability, sir, that the insurance company must invest the premiums that you pay to get the appropriate rate of return that when the claim arises, that they can pay. Now, in general insurance, sir, it is more likely than not that a significant proportion of people will go through life, sir, without having to claim against their property for anything. It is likely. It is also likely, sir, that most of us who drive on the roads when the day comes, sir, will not likely have to have a claim against our motor insurance. It is likely. And therefore, how you provision to cover that is very different from how you provision, sir, where all of us in here take out some type of life insurance, and all of us will die. Of course, we will die at different points unless there's some catastrophe that happens and causes a bunching. And it is that bunching of deaths that could create problems with respect to the rate of return for the life company and how you can be able to pay those claims. And it is not those types of scenarios, sir, those types of scenarios can arise, but to the extent that the ability for life companies to be able to pool and invest is where the risk-based approach and the types of areas that they can invest in is important. Now, let me, sir, come to a matter very quickly, and just permit me, sir, because my staff sent me something just now. You would recall, sir, one of the glaring things that remained completely unresolved when we came to office in 2018, sir. There was a matter of an insurance company in this country, sir, that had failed. And thousands of Barbadians, sir, thousands of Barbadians were unclear as to what would happen to the monies that they put in that insurance company. The previous government, sir, dithered for years, with no clear resolution in sight either from a regulatory perspective, sir, or a fiscal perspective. But in the end, in the last gasp attempt to try to bail out a few people, they committed this country, sir, to $600 million of taxpayers' money to bail out an insurance company, with only $60 million in assets being placed at the disposal of Barbadians to use. Now, sir, I've said this in this chamber before, and I find it extraordinary, sir, because who would not take $600 million in exchange for 60? I mean, it is an extraordinary rate of return by any stretch of the matter. As a matter of fact, it makes these blessing circles and things that I got going around now look like Sunday school. I was like Sunday school. $600 million in exposure to the taxpayer, sir, in exchange for only $60 million in assets. And thousands of Barbadians, literally, sir, in financial distress. Financial distress. That is what the last government committed taxpayers to in this country. A totally private transaction. The government had no business in it. The government had no shares in the company, sir. Nothing of the like. Nothing. But yet, a commitment was made in this parliament, in this very chamber, by the last government to bail out this insurance company. Now, I must say to you, sir, at the time of the attempt, they really had no way of understanding how it was going to pay that $600 million. It was there on paper, but there was no clear sense as to how this thing was going to be paid. None. We came into government, sir, and for those who keep talking about debt, sir, part of that debt that they keep talking about, sir, $600 million of that was their commitment to a private transaction for a private company. They didn't thinking about no policy holders, sir. They were thinking about the executives, sir, and themselves. When you look at the Deloitte report, sir, that was their motive. Exposing taxpayers to $600 million. Anyhow, sir, let me just say for the record that having met with those policyholders at Lloyders St. Sanford Center, and I think it was May of 2019, after we had done the debt restructuring, sir, on the domestic side. And I remember the night well, sir. Thousands of people showed up in search of relief. Some people, regrettably, sir, had died. And once you purchase a life policy, the claim could not be honored, sir, because of what was happening with the then government and the then executive of that insurance company. It was a shame, sir. A shame. I would not want in any way for Barbadians to think that there's anybody who is walking about this country today talking about the amount of debt that the government has to misunderstand or misrepresent or misunderstand what I'm saying in this chamber. This government, inheriting a complete financial mess, had to find ways to finance the development of this country, sir. We didn't go looking to finance and bail out, sir, any private company in this country. Every single debt that we have issued has been to improve the delivery, sir, of goods, public goods and public services in this country, to invest in the future of Barbados, sir, and to give to taxpayers, sir, the certainty, sir, that this government, that we were looking after their interests. It wasn't the interest, sir, of any executive. It wasn't the interest of any company. And therefore, what I want to share with you, sir, in the chamber today is just to remind, so just permit me, sir, to look at my phone because it's on my phone here, sir. To share with the chamber, sir, that we issued to sort out this $600 million debt that the last government issued on paper. They had no way of paying it, sir. But we were able, sir, to take that $600 million, effectively restructure it, sir, to $414 million. We issued $163 million, sir, in Series B5, $149.74 million, sir, in Series I. British American bonds, sir, $93.2 million, and you remember there was a little part of the portfolio that was sold to Sagicor, sir, Baco to Sagicor. The honourable member, I am sure he would remember when we were in this chamber debating and dealing with all of those things before he decided to go on the other side. 8.12 million, sir, we were able to come to this chamber and have to Sagicor. So $414 million, sir, $414 million, of which, sir, we have paid $107.6 million. So this is all during COVID, sir. This is all during the ash, sir. All during Hurricane Elsa, sir. All during Hurricane Beryl, sir. $107.64 million in principal, sir, and $47.12 million, sir, in interest. To bring relief, sir, to thousands of Barbadians that the last government left holding piece of paper, sir, that was worth nothing. Total, sir, $154 million that we have paid, this government, sir, responsibly paid to bring relief to ordinary Bajans, sir. In addition to that, sir, we also exchanged, because part of the $60 million in assets that I was telling you, sir, about, part of that, 37 million, sir, 37, not 37, sorry, 18.5 million, sir, of those assets were pledged by the last government. So assets meaning, sir, there were plantations in Barbados. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the names offhand, but some of them is St. John and St. Philip. Plantations in Barbados, land in Barbados. The last government, sir, pledged that land to back the claims for insurers in the OECS. So there was land tied up in Barbados for years, sir, for years, that nobody could use, not even for agriculture, nothing, sir, that the last government pledged. Poole, Henley, River, Wakefield, Todd's, a whole list of them. Whole list of them. So when you hear people today talking about what's happening in agriculture, you know what's happening, you know what they forget. Just forget, sir. Just forget. They pledged land that we could not use, so you know what we had to do? We said, well, this ain't making no sense. We have to bring Barbados back into production. We have to get our assets working for Barbadians. And the Ministry of Finance, sir, in discussion with the judicial manager, we said, look, we can't have all this land here tie up, sir, ain't doing nothing, nothing productive, all kind of coverage and all kind of things on it. It don't make no sense. So we had to end up, sir, issuing $18.5 million in bonds in exchange for the OECS giving up. Imagine that, yeah? The OECS effectively own land in Barbados. Because the last government, the last Democratic Party government, sir, said, we giving you this here in exchange for the policyholders' claims in the OECS. That's what the last government did, sir. But we solve it. And today, bit by bit by bit by bit by bit by bit, all of those lands that were not in production, all of those lands that nothing was happening, some of it is in housing, is going into housing, most of it is in agriculture, sir. And we, sir, are working, as I said 7 years ago, so when I told the honorable member, welcome, I remember it well. We told the people of Barbados that we can work on your behalf. We ain't giving nothing in Barbados to pledge to nobody, sir, that is not a Barbadian. We are using the assets of Barbados, and yes, it has come at a cost. So when they're talking about debt, sir, I want them to also remember that it is their decisions that are costing taxpayers of this country money today. But the Barbados Labour Party, in honoring those commitments, sir, we clean them up. So this matter of insurance and how it's regulated, sir, how it's regulated is important. And that is why, as I said earlier, IFRS 17, this risk-based approach, perhaps if it was available in 2008 or 7 and 8 and before, we may not be having this conversation today. But we know what is in place today, sir. The Financial Services Commission is strengthening its supervisory capability. There's a lot more technology being deployed with respect to how insurance is being managed. And therefore, I can give the country the assurance that unless some unforeseen event happens, that our regulatory framework, sir, stands strong. I know that later this year, the Central Bank, along with the Financial Services Commission, working with the World Bank and the IMF, will be doing a financial sector assessment again for not just insurance companies, but for the entire financial sector, to see where we stand in relation to the things that we have done under this very IMF program, sir, where within the same side insurance sector, we have seen now insurers now have to model and do scenario testing to reflect the fact that climate change is a reality. And therefore, those are things that as we have rolled out over the course of the last few years will allow us then to have more effective supervision, sir, of the insurance sector, but whilst at the same time, sir, being able to open areas for opportunities and growth. And so these interventions, sir, have been done in a way, sir, that allows our financial system, sir, to be more robust. And we, on this side, sir, are cognizant that you have to be flexible in an environment, sir, that globally is clearly unfolding, and therefore that evolution of the external environment, sir, we must make sure that we have the right data, we have the right partnerships, we are working cross-border to ensure that there's closer collaboration between regulators in Barbados, regulators across the rest of the Caribbean, and even globally. Because it doesn't make sense, sir, for us to not have those working relationships, because with the best will in the world, sir, if you only invest in Barbados, you won't get the rate of return given the scale and size of specific projects. You simply will not get the rate of return. And therefore, by allowing insurance companies and others to invest outside of Barbados, it means that the regulators must have a working relationship with other regulators to understand that what you're investing in as they would say, sir, are bona fide, and that people are going to try to scam people with all these things that are going on about the place. And therefore, working cross-border with different regulators, sir, is important, and that is the framework that has been set up, because out of the experience that we saw with the demise of CLICO here in Barbados, and how that was allowed to be partitioned, cannot happen again, sir. And therefore, these amendments here today give the FSA the flexibility to do a range of things in relation to the risk management of insurance companies, working more collaboratively with other supervisors across the region and internationally to ensure, sir, that the industry can be regulated appropriate to the risk that they're specifically taking, sir. And I think that that is something that this government supports, because we believe that the regulations must allow for the industry to continue to grow, but equally for ordinary Barbadians to be able to access the type of products and stuff that we see available globally, but in a much more responsible way. And so, sir, this matter is a serious matter. I want to also say, sir, a couple of other things. We have been lucky, in a sense, sir. We have been lucky. One of the, and this is not an advertisement by any stretch of the imagination, sir, but I think one of the slogans of one of the insurance companies in Barbados is always there when you need us most. Right? Always there when you need us most. And I reflect, sir, on recent happenings. And I must say that when I look at the history of Barbados, the economic history of Barbados, sir, the political history of Barbados, there has not, certainly not in my living memory, sir, and I am only, as I said, if I am 49 now, but in my living history in Barbados, sir, I have never known a time when the Democratic Labour Party, sir, was in power, that they have left office, sir, with this country in a better condition than they found it. That is my lived history, sir, and I believe, sir, the facts will bear me out on that. We have, as a party and as a government, sir, we have said to the people of this country, we will be there when you need us most. We have been there when you needed us most, sir. And our record, sir, is really second to none. However, sir, the idea that we will allow this country to be managed or mismanaged again, sir, behoves me, because I think we must now come to the realization, sir, that unless there is a credible policy platform for any alternative, doesn't matter who, sir, any alternative, to come to the people of Barbados, you must be able to demonstrate, sir, the seriousness that is required to manage a complicated economy and a complicated world, sir. And if you're not prepared, sir, if you're not prepared, then you cannot reasonably expect the people of Barbados, sir, to take the risk. The risk. Remember I said insurance is about managing risk, sir. Barbadians must ask themselves very clearly, sir, do we take the risk? Because whilst the Barbados Labour Party we have performed, sir, out of our skin. Out of our skin, sir. And some people believe that it is easy. It is not, sir. We cannot take the risk, sir, and I said it a few nights ago, I believe in my heart, sir, that the other side have proven themselves to be a deterrent to the development of this country. We cannot go through life, sir, where every time the Barbados Labour Party comes to office, it's almost as if you're starting from scratch, sir. Life is a relay, sir, is a relay. And if you pass the baton in a worse shape, sir, than you receive it, then it means that you're not focused, sir, not focused on delivering for the people of this country. And I hope, sir, that as we move forward, that Barbadians understand that this is not just a philosophical or political discussion. This is the lived reality of Barbadians. This is how people will eat and live in this country. And therefore, once we can have discussions about which party is this and which party is that, at the end of the day, sir, if the people's lives are being made miserable by the decisions of politicians, sir, then something is wrong. I know that there's been no government in the history of Barbados that has gone through what this country has gone through in the last 7 years. We have been the insurance policy for Barbados, sir, the Barbados Labour Party. We, sir, have been there when the country needed us most. And Barbadians, sir, Barbadians must now ask themselves one clear question, I feel, sir. Which party do you trust to manage the financial affairs of this country? And as the other slogan says, sir, there's always, you know, people say when the Barbados Labour Party in power, sir, things will be happening. There's got money. Things will be happening. And the other slogan that comes to my mind, sir, is wise financial thinking for life. And therefore, as we embark, just coming out of this by-election, I think the people of Barbados in St. James North have signaled where their wise financial thinking will lay. And therefore, I commit to this country, I commit to this parliament, sir, that as long as I have breath, as the honourable member said, as long as I have breath, sir, this economy, the fiscal affairs of this country, sir, will be managed well. The Barbados Labour Party, sir, will continue to focus on how we bring solutions, sir, to the people of this country. And with that in mind, sir, I am confident that, as we saw recently, that people will appreciate, sir, the effort that we've put in to making wrong things right. There's more work to be done, but I am absolutely confident, sir, that this team that continues to evolve, sir, that continues to evolve, just like the insurance landscape is evolving, sir, that it is with this evolution, sir, that this team will be fit for the time, sir, and the challenges that lie ahead. And with those very few words, sir, I am obliged to you. I beg to move, sir, that this bill be read a second time.
Honourable Member for Christchurch West.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that this honourable chamber be suspended until 20 minutes past 2.
The question is that this honourable chamber be suspended until 2:20 p.m. All those honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Meeting, the ayes have it. This honourable chamber stands suspended until 2:20 p.m.